don't know what we're going to talk about, but here we go.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we're going to talk about the Obi-Wan show, George Lucas taking back Star Wars, and other things. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Welcome to episode 109.
Welcome back. I don't like this idea.
Any of them? No, the Obi-Wan is a good idea. Let's start with the horrible
The Obi-Wan
idea.
is a good idea.
Yeah, as general consensus is Obi-Wan is a good idea.
Yes.
Let's talk about George Lucas taking back Star Wars and the horrible...
First of all, Tyler, how's your Star Wars been this week?
my Star Wars has been bountiful.
Okay.
And also with you.
Okay. It's a give and take.
Let's see. What Star Wars has there been? I don't think I've
Not
had
much,
I don't
right?
think I've had any Star Wars this week, to be honest.
No.
There was what was it? I was thinking about the other day. Now I can't remember. Oh well. It
Good
wasn't important.
podcast content.
Oh yeah.
What was it that I was thinking about the other day?
Well, I mean, this George Lucas thing is one of the things that I've not been able to shake the nightmare that it would be. So there's been this horrible rumor that George Lucas is willing to return to Star Wars.
I don't know if you could say it that strongly.
What, that it's a rumor?
No, that it's a horrible rumor.
No, it's a bad rumor. I am all in favor of this never happening. But yeah, that George Lucas is willing to return to Star Wars if Disney gives him full control.
Well, first of all, excuse me while I yawn.
This is how tired we are
I'm
of
so
your
tired
bullshit internet.
of these rumors that have like one source. The source on this is it was just one person, right? That
Martha. Yeah.
really? Martha.
No.
Your mother's name was Martha too?
I love you. I assume that's what's happened. What happens? I haven't seen the movie.
I
just
think
know the
so.
reference.
There were two of those movies, and I think both movies they learned their names, their mother's names were Martha.
They forgot in between.
I think one of the movies was they learned each other's mother's name, and the next movie was they learned their own mother's name.
Wait, my mother's Martha? I thought you meant your mother was Martha. Wait, they're both Martha? Whoa.
Yep.
As everyone is dead around them from destroying the world.
From them.
Yeah. So, George Lucas, our Martha, that apparently can stop all of our fighting and come back to Star Wars and save us. Some people are totally fine with this idea. And I'd be thrilled to have Lucas back.
Well, yeah,
And
guess who? Guess who's fine with that idea? The haters.
I was trying to think of something even more hateful to say.
Oh.
And I couldn't come up with one.
You're trying to be
Yeah.
a hater for the haters.
We're like, yeah, the things him and Filoni and Favreau could do. Well, Filoni's
Baloney.
done.
Hey!
He's done.
Yes!
He has his moments. He is very knowledgeable, and I would say is important for the production side
That's the
of
best
Star
you can
Wars.
say about him. He's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot.
Yeah. No, it's one of those like creative director type things where like from the creative side, I really like Filoni. From a writing and story wise side, it's been hit or miss, right?
I guess so.
For me personally,
He has-
his episodes of The Mandalorian I thought were not great. He
I don't know about
did
that.
Rebels. And even, I mean, the Resistance has been good. I mean, that has been good. But I don't know. All the praise that Filoni gets usually comes off of people that liked Rebels, and I was not a fan. And his track record for actually like writing and making the content instead of just being a creative side of the content, I feel the creative side has always been stronger.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess.
But anyways,
For me, it doesn't come down to that. It comes down to, I mean, well, I don't know. They're making the assumption that, yeah, what we've gotten so far from modern Star Wars is just a failure, you know?
Well, yeah, everyone thinks that everything Disney has done without Lucas has been
Right.
horrible. But I would argue that Lucas didn't do a great job near the end of his run with Star Wars either.
But yeah, I don't understand what people expect here. Assuming that this is real or could happen, I don't think it could happen at all. Lucas has already sold his.
No, he's done. I mean, he doesn't want to come
He's
back.
in there consulting on the stuff that's being made.
Right. I think that's what he would probably rather be doing.
Right.
Is,
But taking
I don't want
charge
to,
of
yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. Just like all these people that are out there talking about bringing Legends back. The Legends EU canon.
Right, which
That's
was
still
such,
a thing.
Which was such a mess.
People are still arguing for that they want to bring that back. That they love those characters like Jason and Jaina and who cares?
Undoing everything that that's happened.
I saw somebody
so far.
on Twitter the other day saying, "Let's have Legends coexist with the current canon." Like, why? Why would you want that?
Right.
To have this alternate universe Star Wars is basically what they're asking for. You know, because what we have now is, like we've said for a while now, what we have now is what happened.
Right.
You know, this is the story. This is Star Wars.
Yeah.
So to have this now, we've got people want this alternate universe where none of these characters exist and we just continue on with what we had 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is as much as, and we've talked about this probably plenty of times, but as much as I enjoyed the EU, it was banana pants crazy and all over the place.
Right. All over the place.
With, like the amount of space wizard stuff that happened in the EU, not just like Force stuff, but just like crazy ass old space wizards with just all kinds of crazy clones and weird things happening, and the stuff with Chewie and when he was killed. There's just so much stuff that happened that was just all over the place, trying to be like very loosely stitched together to where things were contradicting each other and stuff like that. Where
Do you remember
it was a mess.
Do you remember me talking about was it Tales from Jabba's Palace or Tales of the Bounty Hunters? I can't remember which book now, but it goes over Boba Fett like after the Sarlacc pit and his career.
Yeah.
Where he has to retire because his knees are going bad.
What a great story.
Do you remember that?
What a fun, interesting adventure.
And then I think at one point he ends up doing a commando style mission in the nude with a bow and arrow going after some target.
Was he Torok? What's happening?
I don't know what was going on. I don't remember now. I remember liking the book and liking the story, but thinking of having that now, it's insane.
Right.
I don't understand. And I think this is the same thing with you just want what you had. Like you just want what you enjoyed as a kid to be like, no, things move on.
But I mean, that's how people are with literally everything.
Yeah.
Currently, which is, I mean, this is us getting on our old man soapbox as usual, where it's everyone just wants what they had in the good old days.
Yeah.
And
the good old days can be this nebulous, like undefined thing. Like the good old days can be really selective and ignoring everything else that was happening during the good old days, quote unquote.
Right. It's like, there have been people that I've spoken to about like the new DuckTales.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, is a reboot of the DuckTales from the start.
Yeah.
And they've complained about how they don't like it, and from multiple different perspectives, like they don't like the art style or they just don't like how they're doing the characters.
That's the thing that you have to evaluate it as a separate thing in a way.
But that's not what happened to Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I don't know. I've not had canon debates about DuckTales. At least that's at least something I haven't had to have.
I will say I can
complaint.
understand that perspective of if there was a large canon built up about DuckTales and then this new DuckTales just blew it all up.
Well, I mean,
Which
how invested in DuckTales are you? Because I mean, there is.
There is what? A canon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I don't think this new show necessarily completely blew it up, right?
Well, it starts it
Except-
over from the beginning.
Except for the whole mother thing. That wasn't the case.
Right.
In the original series, right?
Right, but
That
I
the
mean,
mother was
and they still brought back things that were in the original, just like Star Wars has done. Where you know you've got Bubba and the dinosaur come back in a couple episodes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Other various things. You've got Gizmo Duck and
Mhm.
all of that.
Right.
But I don't. It's just that complaint of the old one was fine. The new one's good too. I don't. Yes, both. I don't. What's the
Both
what's
are
the
good.
problem here?
Yeah, I guess it's when that argument turns into like, okay, I can get not liking the new thing, whatever.
Right.
Have
Like
your own
Ninja
opinions
Turtles.
about the new thing, whatever. That's
Take
fine.
the Ninja Turtle movies. That would be my equivalent.
The live
of-
action ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is me where mine, like, yeah, the old one's better. And I think the new ones are horrible, but I'm not.
I mean, I think
understand.
objectively they are horrible.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they're a bad thing that was done.
forget they're Ninja Turtles. They're just bad movies.
Right.
But yeah. So you can not like the new thing, whatever. When you start to say, okay, I like the old thing. I want the old thing now to replace the new thing and get rid of it. That's where
I
you
want
need to
more
stop.
of the old thing.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the old thing. It's
Right.
fine to still like it. It didn't, there wasn't a book burning
Yeah.
when Disney bought Star Wars.
Right.
Or maybe there was. I don't know. I wasn't invited. The way people talk, there may as well have been a book burning.
You can't find it anymore.
Right. None of them exist. I can't enjoy them anymore. Whatever. I've still got copies of the original Thrawn trilogy, and they're still good books. I still enjoy them.
I have the Jedi Academy series.
So
too.
it's obviously, I mean, Thrawn's a good example of that, where I really enjoyed the original Thrawn trilogy, but also I recognize that some batshit stuff happened in those books.
Yeah.
With Luke and the clone guy and the clone Luke, and there's some crazy stuff that happens in those books.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy them, and then I think the new Thrawn books are
Really good.
really good and probably better from a cohesive universe tie-in perspective,
I agree.
where it's a lot cleaner and not just like, here's a
scope-
crazy story.
The scope is a lot broader.
Right.
Which makes it more enjoyable for me anyway.
So the fact that people want Lucas to come back in, and it's funny that both sides of people that have commented on it, people that want him back and people that don't want him back, both of them are arguing the same thing, that he doesn't need to direct anything.
Oh, really?
Right. The people that don't want him back are like, no, if he comes back, he'll direct stuff, and that's just a bad idea. And the people that do want him back is like, yes, he should be in charge of ideas and the creative side, but he
As long
shouldn't
as he's not
direct it. But he
directing.
shouldn't direct anything. So both sides are like, yeah, no, don't let him direct anything, please. That's not what he should ever do anymore. So at least there's some unity on George shouldn't direct anything ever again, because it's always a bad time.
I don't know if people are arguing for his story ideas. Like, there's this
Can you imagine
idea
if we
that
got
he
the
had
midichlorian
for-
movie? Can you imagine if we got the midichlorian movie
Well,
where
yeah,
it's just
so
like so
that's what I was gonna
microscopic
say.
weird?
That's what I was going to say. There was this idea out there that I guess we don't really know a lot about in detail of what he wanted the new trilogy to be.
Right.
And that gets into the whole, I think the midichlorian thing was mentioned in that rumor.
Yeah, I mean, he
wanted-
had said it was
what
going
he
to
was
be
gonna
like
make.
a microscopic, introspective
I don't know
of
what
the
I don't
Force.
know what that means. I don't know if that's a metaphor or literal or what. So I don't know if people want more of that or if they want more of the like character driven stuff, because he is really good at that. Developing, or at least, I think he is. I think the characters he developed throughout the original trilogy and in the prequels too, I think are.
It's just that people are upset what happened with the characters because they didn't like the direction it took. I mean, that's that's probably mostly it. But I mean, the dude sold Star Wars for
billions
god
of
awful
dollars.
horrible amounts of money. What was it? It was like 4 point something billion dollars, wasn't it?
Something crazy. I don't remember.
So I don't. Yeah, it was $4.05 billion. Is what he sold Star Wars for. And it has been apparent that he hasn't been, at least for the trilogy films, he wasn't super on board with what happened with them. Even, like with the stuff with Bob Iger saying how, he didn't hide his disappointment about stuff.
Lately?
It was in
With
his memoir. He said that he didn't hide that George didn't hide his disappointment over Force Awakens. So he wasn't necessarily happy with what they did, but I don't think to the point that he wants to get involved again, because he's got plenty of other stuff going on. He's building a massive museum and stuff right now.
Yeah, to himself.
Yes. A Waddle museum. Waddles through the ages. Join us on this guided tour through the various waddles and goiters of
goiters.
famous goiters. Our first stop, the man himself, George Lucas, father of the waddle. Look how it jiggles. Let's listen. Beautiful.
And that's been our tour. Please visit the gift shop for squeezable waddles and
waddle warmers and more.
Waddle bottles.
Grow your own waddle.
And for the little ones.
What would the little ones have?
I don't know. Waddle snacks.
New cheese waddles.
Cheese blast. You blasted your cheese all over my waddle.
Cheese waddles.
Available for a limited time.
Yeah, so that's George.
What are we talking about?
George Lucas.
Oh, yes.
The father of Waddle.
There's the whole thing about where this rumor even came from and how it's probably not even true at all. But people are wrong. The end. I think that's the underlying point of this show.
Well, the original thing, all of this is based off of some big rumor thing or story that got posted on Reddit. So that's where it it came from. And then the mods took it down because of lack of sources.
Reddit.
On Reddit.
Cool.
Right.
All right.
And then it hit, other websites and stuff. Picked
Collider.
Yeah. George Lucas is coming back, says one man.
Forbes.
Anonymous 349269. Yeah.
You ever notice how websites like Forbes will publish articles like this?
Yeah, they just repost. It's just a repost.
It's just
basically. Yeah. Yes.
What's their game?
They just want the clicks.
The clicks.
That was advertising clicks.
Give me those clicks. Oh, give me all the clicks.
Oh, speaking of people
clicking things.
No, sure. Video games.
Yeah, there we go.
Segue. I was gonna say, speaking of people that don't know what they're talking about.
Video games? Us?
No, George Lucas. George Lucas, and now EA CFO Blake Jorgensen, which sounds like a guy that lives with a football helmet on.
Is that because it's? I don't know.
This is the CFO for EA.
Blake Jorgensen. Jorgensen? Jorgensen.
Or Jorgensen. I don't know. If you have a name like Blake, how do you pronounce your last name when it looks like Jorgensen?
Jorgensen.
Jorgensen.
Blake Jorgensen.
that's a luchador.
And now, coming out to the ring,
Blake Jorgensen,
weighing in at 224 pounds, Blake Jorgensen.
No. So,
how much more racist can we be?
Right. So, EA had that financial call recently, and the CFO was talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and was saying how it is now expected to sell 10 million copies during the fiscal year, when they previously projected a sale of 6 to 8 million. So it's significantly outperforming expectations.
And the quote,
His comment was very strong results for a single player action game. Like in surprise that it was doing so well. Which is so frustrating.
that is frustrating. They do
That
not know their market.
no, it's the
this
thing
type
that
of
everyone's been
game.
screaming at them for like
Specifically for a Star Wars game.
well, not only Star Wars, but people have been screaming at them for like 10 years. Like, just make single player games that are good.
Yeah.
Stop making a loot box machine that also has a sport in it. That's all most of the games are.
I think it's funny. It's the CFO for the publisher
Right.
that is saying this stuff, not the CFO for the
developer.
the developer studio. Yeah.
Right. It's not
Respawn, right?
Respawn, yeah. Which they're supposedly already working on the second one, which is
There's going to be another one?
there's supposedly going to be a sequel, yeah.
Nice.
Jedi, it's called Jedi Fallen. There was
Disorder.
a rumored name, and I cannot remember what it was called. It was still Jedi Fallen, but something.
Shelf.
I'll have to find it. But yeah, obviously, dude, everyone's been saying just give us a Star Wars game that isn't. I mean, they made the Battlefront games, which ended up being loot box machines, and the second one had a huge stink over the loot box.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you could play forever and never get like stuff.
Right.
It's stupid.
It's so funny how he can't. I mean, not only. I don't know. Not only did it do well, but it surpassed expectations. You know, like it, regardless of expectations, it did really, really well.
Right.
And then they can't just say, you know, oh, wow, it did really well because it's a great game.
No. Wow.
They have to put it in this category.
A single player game can do good.
That actually did pretty good for a single player game. Yeah, oh, well.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. So anyway,
but I mean,
still haven't played Fallen Order.
It's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah, I want to play it.
But yeah, they're supposedly already working on a sequel, according to various rumors. Which I mean, it makes sense, especially if it's doing so well. And I mean, there's supposedly that other game, that nebulous game that has lost writers and directors, and it's supposedly still in some form or fashion being made.
The game that got dropped, that was being worked on by the Uncharted studio.
Right. Yeah, that
head,
game.
right?
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was now.
That one supposedly still exists in some form or another, I believe.
Was that not what Fallen Order turned into?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Because the other one was supposed to be more like an open world.
Yeah, puzzle solving type game, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Fallen Order is to an extent, but I believe it was still out there as a thing. But I mean, there's been no anything since Fallen Order's come out.
I hate this trend. This has happened with the movies too, like with Solo and Rogue One. And I guess it happened with some of the sequel movies too, of like this. The movies did well,
right?
And then this game does well, and then people put it into this.
Well, it's because it's in the Star Wars box, right?
Yeah,
it did well. It did fantastic for a movie. It did all right for a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it just
like you can't get over the Star Wars hump.
But it made a huge profit,
right?
Like so,
compared to any film release,
it was a commercial success.
Yeah, like for Rise of Skywalker, which I think has probably done.
It's gone past 1 billion worldwide.
It's done the least. I think it's made the least amount of money of all three films of the new ones, right?
It didn't beat Force Awakens.
Force Awakens has had the record for highest grossing. Whatever.
It didn't beat Last Jedi either.
I don't know if it has yet or not. I haven't looked recently. But it's that same thing. Like for literally any other movie, it has done significant amounts of money, like commercial success, like the highest hopes and dreams of most movies that get released.
Yeah,
it has done. But for a Star Wars movie, it's pretty shitty. It's made $1 billion, which for a Star Wars movie is not good. Well, all right, let's stop comparing the golden apples to the other golden apples.
I don't get it.
No, it's just the Star Wars. I mean, it literally is just a Star Wars problem.
Yeah.
Because even
Yeah, you're right. It's at 1,049,000,000 right now, and Last Jedi was 1,332,000,000.
Yeah. Like even the Marvel movies, as insane the amounts of money they have made have been. I don't see something. I don't. At least maybe I don't see it happening where something smaller comes out like a Ant-Man and Wasp, and there's
It's
like
considered a failure.
it's like, oh, it's a failure because it didn't do what
Yeah.
the Avengers did. I don't remember that being a thing.
What is
I know-
Marvel gonna do?
I know
What-
it didn't make as I didn't know it didn't make that much money, but I don't remember it being like, oh, Marvel has to
Right.
start over because this movie did bad.
It's
Which
like I
it's
hate
not-
seeing that over and
it's-
over
it's
and over
just
again.
Star Wars that gets that.
Of this kind of stuff, and people are constantly bringing up Solo being a commercial failure or a failure.
But compared
for
to any
Star
other
Wars.
movie that got released, it made plenty of money
Right.
and did well for a film that got released for that time of year.
Right. Right. And then, like, sometimes people will dig all the way back to the reshoots for Rogue One and
Right.
and all this stuff, and it's like using it to try to prove some point that Star Wars is a failure now and it needs to be rethought. And does Star Wars even work for the modern era? Like all this stupid stuff.
Right. And I mean, the expectation that that level of success is sustainable is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nothing can do that.
Right.
That is impossible.
Interest is gonna fade somewhat, but that doesn't mean it should be rethought.
Right.
I'm dreading the day that this line of thinking turns into we need to reboot Star Wars.
But
Disney
is not stupid. And Bob Iger's
True.
even said stuff about the fact that, like, yeah, we do pay attention to the fans, but we as a company and as board members and stuff like that have to take into account the a different measure of success. He said stuff along those lines, and it's like they've been in charge of Disney owns Marvel, and Marvel has been rolling out just a dump truck of movies. They're competing with themselves with movies at this point.
Yeah.
Where they're having to they're opening a movie every couple months.
Yeah, multiple movies a year.
It's been a while because of Endgame.
Yeah.
I think the only Marvel related things that have come out have been Spider-Man, I think, since Endgame.
Black Widow's about to come out.
But that slew of movies that led up to Endgame,
Yeah.
like some of them did all right for a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But that was part of the plan. They had all these movies they wanted to put out that led up to this other thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't shy away from releasing or making those movies. Like they made a second Ant-Man movie.
Right.
And I don't think the first Ant-Man movie did all that well. But there was still an Ant-Man sequel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Disney as a company, I think they have that. One, they don't need something to do better than the last thing they made because they pump out shit all the time. They're making made for TV movies now for their own platform.
Right.
And those are still of super high quality.
I not only do I dread I think of it as like the WB studio thinking, where
Just keep
everything, how they
rebooting
keep
stuff.
screwing up the DC universe over and over and over again because
So they just
they
keep
put a
rebooting.
movie out and it not only is it awful, but it does really badly in the box office.
Yeah.
And so they just reboot it, and
let's
they
just
new idea, slap something else on the wall.
scrap that one, forget that
Yeah.
happened.
I dread that
I guess so.
bleeding into Star Wars. And I dread that this kind of public group think kind of stuff of like, Star Wars is a failure. It needs to be,
Right.
it's you got to pump the brakes. You got to, slow down and think about where you want to go with this stuff. Like, let's get some momentum here without just.
It hasn't been that long, guys.
Right.
It just came back.
Without just like doing going the Marvel way, going all the way that way and just pumping movies out constantly.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that, but it also doesn't have to be, let's try this standalone movie and let's see if that works, every other year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Trying to find what sticks.
Yeah. There can be more stuff like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
More often.
Right.
This, we've got the Obi-Wan script rewrites on here we were going to talk about.
I mean,
Like,
honestly,
it doesn't, I feel like it doesn't have to be, I don't know. My perspective as a fan is it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So perfect that
Right.
it smashes all records and, that kind of
I
a
mean, The
thing.
Mandalorian alone is a
We've got Rebels for heaven's sake.
yeah, right. The Mandalorian alone, I think, was I mean, they had no idea how that was going to come over.
Which
Go over
surprises
with
me
people.
because it's an excellent show.
Well, it is, but I mean, at the same time, while fans and people were like, "Yeah, obviously a Mandalorian show would be amazing, right?" But also, that is legitimately the first Star Wars thing that has nothing to do with any of the other Star Wars things, pretty much.
Yeah, and I get that we're at that, like you said, we're kind of at that time right now. It hasn't been that long since Star Wars has
No,
come back. So yeah, they are kind of just putting their toes in the water a little bit and seeing what
so that was
works.
I mean, that was a pretty big show of faith
Yeah,
to like try something else with Star
I
Wars.
get that. I'm just worried that we're at that tipping point where you could make a decision either way.
Oh,
And the public opinion right now is, at least with them on the movie side,
right.
the consensus has been Star Wars is a failure. Because it's stupid. It made all these bad decisions, and the movies didn't do well, and
Guess what? All people that saying that are probably in their 30s plus. Guess who Disney aren't making these movies for?
well, okay, yeah. So I
Right?
hope that that's their line of thinking, and this tipping point is going to go the other way, and be like, oh, stuff like The Mandalorian was a success. That's a
Right.
good show, and we want to do more stuff like that. I hope
Right.
that's where we're going, and not into the let's follow what the stupid public who changes their mind every few months
Right.
is thinking right now.
Right.
I hope
Yeah.
they'll be smart about it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I expect in the next month. I mean, the original rumor was we would hear something by end of January about what's next, and we haven't.
Yeah,
I would say in the next few months. I mean, well,
definitely within the next few months,
what
probably.
is celebrations in May?
Definitely, probably.
Celebrations in May, right? Or is it later?
April or May, something like that, in Anaheim
Yeah.
this year.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
do we? I
I
mean,
just
yeah. It's when is it? It's no, it's later. It's August.
is it really?
I didn't realize it was that late in the year.
Me neither.
Um, yeah, August 27th through 30th. Because I
Wow.
was gonna say if it was May, maybe they push it to May before any announcements for
Yeah,
celebration. But if it's in August, there's no way. We're going to hear something. I would say we're going to hear something in the next 3 months, 2-3 months.
of what the next push is going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I mean,
right now they're pushing the comics are the big thing that's happening, and then TV shows. Right. We have the new season of
yeah.
Clone Wars is coming out very soon. They're working on the Obi-Wan show, which has its own controversies happening. That it's canceled, according to people that scream at their computers. And the Cassian show is still out there, getting in pre-production or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there are supposedly other TV shows, animated shows, already in the works for Disney Plus as well.
Hmm.
There's a rumored Rebels sequel.
I saw that rumor.
There supposedly it's already like
I don't buy it.
supposedly it's already like through pre-production and it's like being made right now, according to rumors. Apparently, so according to rumors, this Rebel sequel is about Ahsoka and Sabine. And the most recent rumor about it is that and this is someone that apparently got fired but worked in, of course it's a whole
I know
grain of
what you're talking
salt.
about. I saw it.
They
I
said
don't
they
buy
said
it.
they got fired, and here's all the information I knew before I got fired from
Yeah, the
from
list
Disney.
that they dropped is insane. I think they're an
Right.
insane person.
So, but I've heard some of the other rumors about the Rebel sequel before this person. Now, what they were saying was that they get involved with Thrawn again, and they get involved in the whole Chiss and Grisk war.
Yeah,
And
because Ezra went out to the
Ezra
unknown regions
is with Thrawn,
Thrawn,
apparently.
right? Yeah,
So that's the rumor of what that show is about. And honestly, goddamn, if Filoni doesn't want to just throw Ahsoka into anything he can because she will never cease to be in something.
He will wallow in the pit of his own creations as long as he can, won't he?
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, well, one, people can't stop themselves from just
Wanting
wanting
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka in everything. And I get that. She was a fantastic character in Clone Wars.
I think there needs to be an end to things, though, right?
She's dead at some point because she was talking to Rey. So fingers crossed. One of these days she has to die.
You notice how the Ghost has made it through every single Star Wars time period now?
Yeah.
Well, except for the prequels.
The
But
Ghost. Because, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
And I assume Hera with it, right?
If anyone from that show should survive,
it should be Hera?
It should be Hera.
Really? You think so?
Oh, yeah.
If anyone, are you saying if anyone deserves to live?
Yes,
it should be her.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sabine's all right. The rest of them, Ahsoka never should have been there. She got mixed up in the wrong crowd. She should have seen the writing on the wall and that it was just a bad idea.
She does seem a little bit like a different character, doesn't she, in that show?
Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different than how she was in Clone Wars.
It'll be interesting seeing her back in Clone Wars now.
Yeah.
And seeing how that goes.
Well, she reunites with Anakin, right? And this is the Anakin right before Revenge of the Sith.
Well, I mean, this season, from the trailer that came out, it's going to bleed into Revenge of the Sith.
She can't exist at the
Because
same time as Revenge of the
there's
Sith,
scenes
right?
in the trailer. There's scenes in the trailer that are animated scenes
What
from
am I saying?
Revenge
Of
the
course
Sith.
she makes it.
Yeah.
She lives through the whole
Yeah, because
damn
she's in
thing.
Rebels. So yes.
Oh, what am I saying?
It's going to this is one of those things
Why?
this is one of those things of the old Filoni shoehorn.
You got the Holdo maneuver and you got the Filoni shoehorn.
I want to buy a shoehorn. Get it bronzed and have it engraved with the word Filoni.
You should get like a wood burning.
I want to send it to him. It's
the FBI would show up at your house probably.
But I mean, it'll be interesting because Clone Wars was a fantastic show and it ended.
Yeah.
So how much is this new season going to end up being like a Rebels where it's like shoehorn in all the stuff that guess what also happened during this time frame that you already knew about?
Yeah.
And I am worried about that. As much as I love Clone Wars and you've got the Clone Trooper crew. What's they have a name? They're
the Clone Trooper crew.
They have that group of
the old
like Fives and all them. They have a
the
name.
Sea Crew.
They have a team name, and I can't remember what it's called.
I don't remember now.
The Baloney Boys. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Filoni's Baloney's.
Filoni's Baloney Boys. And I mean, so as much as I love all these different characters, and I'm very interested to get to see more of Anakin during that period of going into Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a timeline in there and getting to see what he's doing and how people are responding to it as it leads up to it.
Like his
I think
state of mind.
That will be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But again, how much are we just like shoving an Ahsoka into that timeline?
Yeah.
And how much feels shoehorned and forced because this story already kind of finished.
Right.
But then we also know where Ahsoka ends up, and we know where Anakin ends up. So you can only do so much in the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if it feels very forced or not. Because I hope it's good. I want it to be good, and I don't want it to be Rebels. But at the same time, it feels like it ended. And how much is this going to feel forced into a timeline?
Yeah, we were talking about that with this Luke's lightsaber thing in the comics this week,
which it hasn't. The next issue explaining, I guess, what happens next hasn't come out yet. So we can't. There's not enough of it to know what happens, right?
Well, the thing we were talking about isn't a rumor. It was an actual panel that was
right, but that was the last panel of an issue, so we don't know like what the next step is. But so there was in the new Star Wars comic series, the
most recent issue.
The most recent one is
this is the rebooted main Star Wars comic,
right? Which takes place now during Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
So Luke's hand gets cut off and his lightsaber falls down the shaft. That whole thing. The lightsaber that suddenly shows up in Maz has, right?
Yeah.
So I guess Lando saved it. Lando got the lightsaber when it fell, or he said something about Lando got the lightsaber, but then there was a hooded figure with the lightsaber telling Luke to follow his destiny.
Luke had a vision
Right.
and he saw his hand. I don't remember. There was some hint coming from Lando at some point that he knew where it was or knew how to get a hold of it, and Luke wasn't interested in it
He said he saw
anymore.
where it went, I think is what he said.
Something like
that.
So then later, Luke has this vision, according to the comic, where he follows his hand as it's severed down the shaft and everything, and it's caught by this hooded figure. And the hooded figure says, "Follow your destiny," in Luke's vision.
Right.
And
That feels very shoehorny as well.
Well,
shoehorny
it
is
depends
a
on
different
who
search term for a different kind of thing. But don't Google shoehorny, please. Otherwise, if you do, it's your fault. Anyways, I realized what I said, and
don't be on your mom's Wi-Fi network.
Don't be anywhere. Don't be at the library Googling shoehorny.
I'm so shoehorny over here. Sir? It depends on who this hooded figure is. I'm afraid that the hooded figure is gonna be a shoehorny character and be
I don't care what they do on their time.
shoehorned into this timeline that where he doesn't need to be. I don't know. We were saying it's J.J. Abrams.
It was actually
that the
JJ.
hooded figure is J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and I was saying that his line's going to be, somehow I have your lightsaber. And that's it. Then he just gives it back to him.
Right.
The end.
JJ's the one.
Somehow I gave your lightsaber to Maz. The end.
JJ literally himself is ruining Star Wars in Star Wars. The Star Wars is coming from inside the Star Wars.
What if they brought back like Joris?
Huh?
Joris.
Who?
Joris Kaboth.
Kaboth.
Yeah, I never understood how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, the old man.
Yeah, the one from the Thrawn.
He's who I was
trilogy.
thinking of when you were saying Space Wizard.
Yeah, that's the one from the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
The one that has the Luke clone.
Yeah, he's
that he has to fight.
Right. Yeah, he's literally a space wizard. That was weird.
So what if that was my first thought when the hooded figure? I thought of Joris.
Why though?
It's like, what if they brought this crazy old man back?
It looked like a Jawa. Except it had a human hand. It's the only Jawa.
It was Luke's
human
hand.
arms.
It was Luke's hand. It was Luke's hand holding the lightsaber. No. I'm saying it's a Jawa, but you can't see its hand holding out Luke's hand with the lightsaber. Yeah, I don't.
It's the only Jawa with human arms and legs,
but
Jawa body and head.
Terrifying thing. Yeah, I mean that's where it is. It is getting to be. We're in that period of like, okay, how much does this turn into the EU now? Where it's like, look at the crazy things happening in the timeline.
Yeah,
where it starts to get wibbly wobbly.
We don't want that to come back.
I don't want it to get wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. This isn't Doctor Who. There's a different place and time, literally, for those things.
Actually, that's a good point. Now that you mentioned that, because of how Rise of Skywalker decided to handle a few things, it's very much like a Doctor Who way of resolving things.
We have to go back and fix things. Or explain things.
No, I'm saying the way they tell the story in Doctor Who in a lot of episodes is just like, oh, science, because science. Yeah. And now it's fine.
Yeah, it's like it's too much to explain. There's no time.
Right.
How did the Emperor come back? Who knows? Anyways,
dark science
somehow.
Dark science cloning.
Somehow he's returned. The epitome of writing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've been reading Harry Potter with my son for the first time, and I've already read. I've been reading it with him for the first time. I've read it, anyways. So
he's your son for the first time.
Yeah, I finally accepted him, and as you do once you accept your child, as you read Harry Potter. But at the beginning of the book, right, it's like somehow you survived. talking about like when I read that line about somehow you survived when you know, he who shall not be named tried to kill you, somehow you survived.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like that was when I read that line, I was like, oh no. just thinking, it made me think of Star Wars and somehow the Emperor returned. And thinking about, oh yeah, this somehow is going to get paid off.
Did J.K. Rowling have any idea though?
I wonder. It also wasn't the last book when she said that.
Huh?
It also wasn't the last book when she said somehow
Oh
he survived.
yeah, right.
Whereas,
no, this is the book where we're supposed to get those answers.
right.
Yeah.
You know, in the Deathly Hallows, when he's fighting him for the last time, he's like, somehow you survived. And then that's the end. There's no explanation. They fight and he kills them and then the end.
That's a good point. It's not, you can kind of get away with it when you can build up to that point.
Yeah.
Of
You
answer.
don't end with a somehow.
Yeah.
That's
really cheap.
that's not how you end a story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Hobbit, where Bilbo gets knocked out at the beginning of the Battle of Five Armies or whatever. He gets knocked out before the great battle between the dwarves and elves and all that, and then he wakes up after it's over.
Which
the battle does play out and the battle happens, but to Bilbo it's like somehow the battle's done. Like it's like taking that in a movie context where it's just like, oh, there's going to be a battle. Cut to the battle's over. Somehow they won.
That's not how it was in the book, right? He was already in the mine.
But he got in the cave. He did get knocked out. Like as soon as the battle started, he got knocked out.
In the book?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Which is fine, but there's still an explanation to the battle and stuff.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, can you imagine writing a movie and being like, and there's a great big battle and somehow they won. All right. And then you just put that in the movie. Which is basically what happened with the Emperor.
It takes away all the stakes.
There's no urgency at all.
Right.
So that's still my biggest complaint with Rise of Skywalker is somehow bad things are happening.
Because we need them to happen
and
to have a movie.
And if you say that at the beginning of the movie, you pay it off later with explaining how it happened.
Right.
Instead of just being like, nope, that's it. Somehow it happened. Anyways.
That is the answer.
Anyways.
Somehow.
Yeah, right. No one knows, even the writers. It's a story for another time, says Maz. Again, both JJ movies have lines that just shit on, we don't know, you don't know, no one knows. That's a story for another time. Lightsaber, story for another time. Emperor's back. Somehow.
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay, dude.
We might as well just start saying.
You're like my son trying to tell me a
You'll read about
story.
it in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when your kid runs inside and their friend's hurt and be like, somehow his arm got broke. Okay, well, what happened? Somehow.
Okay, you're telling me step 10. There were 9 steps before that.
Right. I didn't think about that until now that both JJ movies had one of those lines.
Yeah.
Of just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing. Here,
Right.
I'll tell you later.
I remember groaning out loud when she said that in Force Awakens when we watched it for the first time.
It still hasn't been a story for another time. Apparently, we haven't gotten to another time yet because we don't know
apparently
what
we're just now getting
We're
it.
finally getting there. They're like, oh shit.
Via comic.
Oh shit, we forgot to tell the other story. Guy has a lightsaber.
Somebody's going through their old reminders and they're seeing
Right.
2015.
It's like a post-it underneath, like 6 other post-its. They're like, oh shit.
December 2015. Remember?
Tell the story from another
Luke's
time.
lightsaber. Yeah.
I found this post-it. It says to tell the story from another time. Does anyone know what this one was about? Everyone gasps
You hear
at
a
the same
distant
time.
scream and JJ comes running down the hallway, tripping over his pants that are at his ankles.
Yeah, it's no, JJ. God bless you. But those lines.
God bless you,
bad.
butt man.
Oh well. That's enough. I've exhausted myself. Time to go to sleep. I don't think there wasn't too much else. The only other thing that's really happened recently was the whole stink about
The Night of Ren thing. Did you see that?
The guy that the actors.
There was some podcast. I didn't look into it a whole lot, but there was some podcast that, I mean, at this point it's confirmed that
Who the
he
actors?
wasn't who he said he was, but there was some podcast who had this guy on who was claiming to be one of the actors for the Knights of Ren,
Right.
and was saying that he saw some early cut of the movie where Rey dies and Ben survives.
Oh, yeah.
And
Which
it's
now
just
the list of
fueling
actors.
that whole-
yeah.
And people have, like, the actual actors themselves and people who worked on the movie have come out and said, we have no idea who this guy is. I
Right,
don't
it's
know
just
who he is and why he's saying
just
this,
some
but it's
guy
wrong.
causing trouble. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with the Obi-Wan script. Like the show's canceled. Ewan McGregor's left over creative differences, and now he's like spoken to like Variety or I think it was Variety or something like that, saying like, I'm still on board. They're after everyone's kind of had time to breathe since The Rise of Skywalker came out, and they had a chance to really dive back into the scripts, and
Yeah.
there's some stuff they wanted to rewrite and rework some of. He's like, but that's
Right.
normal process.
Right.
We've had to push and delay a little bit due to some of it, but nothing.
Yeah.
I'm still, everything's fine. What I saw like 80% of the scripts before, and I really like the story, and there's no ill will or creative difference problems. Though they've talked, the rumor that the writers, one of the writers they're gonna bring in to work on it is Filoni. So prepare your shoehorns.
I'm shoehorny.
Every day.
It's like, it's like the next level of Quentin Tarantino.
Shoehorny. I'm pretty sure he's shoehorny as well.
The inside of the shoe.
It adds that mystery, that air of mystery. What's in the shoe?
What's in the shoe?
Is there a foot in that shoe? I bet there's a foot in that shoe.
What's in the shoe?
That sounds like something.
I like how there's a guy who doesn't know what would be in the shoe already.
I was about to say, that sounds like something I would hear just being yelled at like down a hall in a nursing home. Like just an old crazy person just yelling, "What's in the shoe?"
A box. You can have anything in a box, so it's pretty reasonable for him to ask what's in the box.
And he's also concerned that it's his wife's head, right?
But for you to say what's in the shoe, I
Right.
feel like you already know.
One, either the shoe is just sitting somewhere and it's empty, so there could conceivably be a spider or something in there.
Or a shit.
Or two, the shoe is on a person and you're screaming, "What's in the shoe?"
What's in the shoe?
And it's quite obvious. I hope it's on them. They have the shoe on and they're yelling about what's in the shoe because they're that confused. Oh, it's me. I'm in the shoe. Oh, guys, never,
It's
guys,
me.
it's fine. Don't, me. I'm in the shoe.
It's me.
I'm in the shoe, guys. Oh my. That's the name of the episode. What's in the shoe?
What's in the shoe?
Always right at the end. Right at the end. No one listens to this point.
I don't
and
think
that's where
anyone
the
even
titles
makes it
come
this
from.
far to know. They just see the title and then don't even listen to the episode.
There we go. That was the one joke. Got it. That was the gist of the one joke. Okay. Moving
That's what
on.
they've been building towards the whole episode.
Right. Oh God. Speaking of building up the episode, it's over now.
It costs money to build up an episode. So visit us at patreon.com/hokey-religion.
You can patronize us with your dollars. You can also find us on Twitter at Hokey Podcast.
Yes,
I
every
still
Every time.
I still think I'm saying the wrong thing. At Hokey Podcast, because we changed it. You can shoot us an email at asklobot@hokey-religion.com. You can find us wherever sounds are made. Please, if you haven't already, leave us a review on whatever podcast platform actually allows those, mostly just iTunes. No one pays attention to the other ones. Otherwise, I think
Don't.
that's it.
Oh.
Otherwise, don't leave a review. Tell your friends, your family members, strangers in the street. That's all. Tell them, please. And thank you. Otherwise,
Tell them please and thank you. Listen to Hoagie Religion.
yes.
Please and thank you.
Otherwise, this has been episode 109. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.